faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane.
No, it's Superman.
It was like a moment frozen in time, frozen in slow motion, an onrushing truck. A young boy on a skateboard. But it wasn't in slow motion. It was real. And unless the truck stopped or the boy swerved, the inevitable would happen.
Watch out! Get him!
Stop! 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 Look out!
Suddenly, the boy fell from the skateboard right in the path of the oncoming truck. I zoomed downward into the street, stopped the truck with my right hand, picked the boy up in my left, and headed for the sky.
Superman! He saved him!
Look at them go!
I came down in a quiet wooded area a few miles north of Metropolis. The boy had a nasty bruise on his knee, and we bathed it in the cool water of a clear stream. What's your name?
Danny, and you're Superman.
How long have you been practicing the skateboard, Danny?
Danny, meet Superman. Boy, wait till the gang hears this.
You know, that could have been a nasty accident.
I sure wish I had the kind of strength you have.
And city streets aren't exactly the place for skateboarding, are they?
Do you have special exercises you do? I mean, like push-ups and all that?
You're not listening to a word, are you?
Sure I am. You come from another planet, right?
Tell you what, Danny, if I answer your questions, will you answer mine?
Deal. Me first. What planet were you born on?
Krypton.
Where's that?
Far away, Danny. Very far away. In another galaxy. You know what a light year is?
Sure. Light travels 186,000 miles a second. So multiply the number of seconds in a whole year by 186,000, and that's a light year.
Good, Danny. Now you can appreciate the distance. Krypton was many, many light years away from Earth. It revolved about a giant red sun and was inhabited by a race of highly intelligent beings. Hundreds of years before, they had solved the problems of space travel, established nuclear energy plants, tamed all the powers of nature, except one. It was my father, Jor-El, one of Krypton's leading scientists, who knew what this power was, and that it was to bring disaster to Krypton.
I tell you, we must evacuate our people to another planet.
Because you hear rumblings in the ground? Don't be ridiculous, Jor-El.
These are more than mere rumblings. There are powers beneath our planet's shell that are beyond our comprehension. Within a year, Krypton will explode like a gigantic bomb.
Jor-El, your imagination's running amok.
Impossible.
Sheer nonsense.
The man's insane.
I was just a small tyke at that time, but I can still hear my mother's voice singing lullabies, crooning the ancient folk songs of Krypton.
Jor-El?
They refuse to listen, Lara. Won't hear a word.
They've had it too good. They're fat, smug, and complacent.
And they'll be destroyed.
And we along with them.
Unless we get out while there's still time.
But how?
I'll build a spaceship for us and our son.
He's so little, Jor-El. So small to die. Can you? Can you build this spaceship?
I can try. I've been studying a small planet in another galaxy. Its people, whom we've been listening to on our interstellar radios, call it Earth. It has a bright new sun, a sun that could mean new strength.
For months, my father labored on the spaceship, drawing plans, collecting materials, revising, improving. In time, he had brought forth a small, workable model, a miniature spacecraft. He was working toward a larger one, large enough for the whole family, when the day of disaster came. As my father had predicted, Krypton had become one gigantic bomb. Tremors shook the earth, huge cracks riffled the surface, gaping holes suddenly yawned. Oceans roared and surged landward. Giant buildings toppled like matchsticks. Great transit tubes reared skyward, twisting, bending. Explosions threw debris into the sky for hundreds of miles. Krypton was dying.
Lara! Lara!
Over here, Jor-El.
Get our son. We've got to make it to the launch pad. Lara, please, do as I say, darling.
Yes, Jor-El.
At the launch pad, my parents placed me aboard the small spacecraft.
We'll never see him again.
It's the only way, Lara.
I hate so to part with him.
At least he'll live.
Hurry, Jor-El. The quakes are coming closer.
Everything's ready. All controls.
Countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7,
Hurry!
4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition.
Goodbye, Cal-El.
Goodbye, my son.
Happy journey.
Live, my son. Live.
As speed increases, time expands, slows down. And as I traveled across the billions of miles of space at speeds faster than light, I grew only a very little. By the time the small spaceship entered the solar system, I was still an infant, unable to talk, unable to walk. Soon the ship entered Earth's atmosphere and plunged to the surface on a small farm near a village named Smallville. I don't know how long I lay there, perhaps for days, until I was finally discovered.
Hey, Martha.
Need something, Jonathan?
Come here, Martha. Look at this thing.
What is it?
Well, I'd reckon it was a rocket ship.
I'd reckon the same, Jonathan.
Somebody's idea of a practical joke, I guess, or a publicity stunt. Let me get this concern thing open. Well, I'll be.
It's a baby.
Baby boy.
You think he's a Martian, Jonathan?
Heck, Martha, why, just look at him. Just as human and cute-looking as any baby I ever did see.
Oh, he's such a darling, Jonathan. Just what we always wanted, but never could have.
Now, don't get your hopes up, Martha. You know we'll have to take him to the foundling home.
We could adopt him, Jonathan.
Only if the home passed on us, Martha. We'll see. Maybe.
Have you made any decision yet, Doctor?
You've got to realize, Mrs. Kent, that the Smallville Children's Home will have to make a thorough investigation before the boy is passed on to you for adoption.
Of course, Dr. Thomas.
And we'll make every effort to locate his real parents first. Other than that, I can only say he seems to be a healthy baby. Very healthy. Yes. Goodbye.
Doctor, look at this.
What is it?
It was a toy truck. I gave it to him this morning.
Did he throw it?
No, Doctor, he just mangled it in one hand.
Now, nurse.
Not only that, look at this hypo needle.
It's broken.
I tried to vaccinate him just a little while ago. The needle won't penetrate.
Impossible. It must have been a bad needle. Here, go back and try it with this one.
Oh! Dr. Thomas, come in here quickly.
What's going on?
Look,
What's he doing up there?
he's flying.
He can't be.
He is. Just look.
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. Let's get out of here.
Nurse!
Doctor, you're so pale.
You don't look so rosy yourself. Look, get the kids on the phone. Tell them they can have the child, and to come pick him up right away.
Of course, I was very small then, and a lot of it I don't remember. It came down to me in stories told by my foster parents. But as I grew, I began to sense the powers within me. One day, walking home from school alongside the railroad tracks, I heard the whistle of an approaching train behind me, and I began to run, just for kicks. At first, it was just a lark, but as my strides lengthened and my pace picked up, I began to notice I was keeping up with the train. Putting on a burst of speed, I went ahead of it, past it, and got to the crossing in plenty of time. And I wasn't even out of breath. As time went on, I found out a lot of things about myself, about things I could do that others could not. But never was I allowed by my foster parents, my new father and mother, ever to think that because of these powers I was better or smarter or in any way greater than other people. They told me I was lucky. That's all, just lucky. And I guess I am. And when my father took ill and he lay in the hospital waiting for his final day,
I don't have long, son. And there's one last thing I must say to you. You have amazing powers, superhuman powers. Use them wisely and well for the betterment of your fellow men, as a bulwark against evil. And hold fast always to the principles of justice and truth and honesty and fair play. Always. Promise me.
Denny?
Huh?
I didn't mean to be so long-winded.
Heck, I could listen all day. Gosh, that's some story. Gee.
Look, I've got your skateboard fixed, but you've got to promise me.
I know. Not in the city streets, I know.
Promise?
Promise.
Good. Now, let me give you a ride home.
Up in the sky?
Up in the sky.
Let's go. Up and away!
I dropped Danny at his home, changed my clothes, and spent the rest of the day at the Daily Planet as Clark Kent. Later that afternoon, Lois told me a young boy was waiting to see me. Of course, it was Danny. Come in, young fella. Have a seat.
Thanks. So you're Clark Kent, ace reporter.
That's me.
Boy, have I got a story for you.
Far out at sea, 200 miles from the nearest land, a small fishing boat bobs on the ocean swell. There is no one aboard. All is silence except for an ominous ticking below deck. Ticking off the hours, the minutes, the seconds, until... Blinding light fills the sky, brighter than the sun. A towering black cloud like a huge mushroom blooms upward into the heavens. Giant tidal waves form in the waters and rush landward. Thousands of miles away, in the city room of the Daily Planet in Metropolis, the presses are stopped.
Copy.
Joey, hold that lead on the president. Bullet coming in.
You got the mayor's office on the phone yet? I ain't even had lunch.
Copy.
City desk. What? Lady, an atomic bomb just went off. We don't have time to rescue cats from trees. Call the SPCA. City desk. No, as far as we know, there were no casualties. That's right. Washington says it was probably a small bomb. 5, 10 kilotons. Yeah, okay. Lois, where's Kent?
Fishing.
What?
No kidding. He's up in Minnesota with Jimmy Olsen.
What a time to pick to go fishing. Get him back.
I'll try. Daily Planet, Lois Lane.
Listen, lady, and listen good. The bomb we triggered in the ocean was a baby. A mere 4 kilotons. The next one will be over 100.
Who is this?
Never mind, just listen. We want $10 billion. $10 billion in gold. It will be placed aboard a 747 jet airplane, fully fueled in Gander. We will give further instructions at that point in time.
Who's we? Who are you?
We are Force One. Unless the gold is placed at our disposal by noon tomorrow, your charming city of Metropolis will be reduced to rubble.
Is this a joke?
You may treat it as a joke if you wish, but 12 noon tomorrow is reality time. By the way, 100 kilotons isn't bad for a homemade bomb, huh?
Hello?
In the mayor's office at City Hall, Lois tells her story to city officials, scientists, members of the FBI, and CIA.
Could this be a hoax?
We just can't take the chance. Not in the light of that explosion at sea.
It's 5 o'clock now. That leaves us 17 hours to find the bomb.
Sure, but how?
What do you think, Mr. Mayor?
Frankly, I think we only have one hope. Superman. Can we contact him, Lois?
Clark Kent might.
Where is Clark?
On vacation, Mr. Mayor, with Jimmy Olsen at a fishing camp up in the Minnesota wilderness. I placed a call, but so far no connection.
I hate to be a wet blanket, but we now have 16 hours, 59 minutes, and 30 seconds.
At that moment, in an abandoned warehouse in downtown Metropolis, 3 people sit in the rear of a trailer truck. 2 of them are hunched over a large mass of metal and wire. The third, a man with a scar running from left eyebrow to chin, looks on.
Hey, cool it, man. That thing's supposed to go off at noon tomorrow, and I'd rather not be around.
That's what I'm working on. The timer. Ah, there. Okay, let's try it.
Try what?
The moment of truth, sweetheart. See this lever here? I move it this way, you know. After that, either the timing mechanism starts, or the mass becomes critical, and we all go up in atoms. Right, Trask?
Well put, young man.
Wait a minute. Can't we get away from here? Do it by remote control?
Jenny, darling, we'd have to be 300 miles from here, which we will be if the timer works. Go ahead, Randy. It's your baby.
friend. Well done.
Call me Einstein.
Now let's split this town.
In time, Jenny, in time. The plane is at the airport. First, we drive our little firecracker to ground zero, directly to the center of Metropolis.
What about the gold?
Don't worry, we'll get it. They'll follow my instructions.
Seconds into minutes, minutes into hours, the time passes as Metropolis sleeps. In the very center of the city, beneath an old railroad bridge, stands the truck, its cargo ticking toward death. At the Daily Planet, the sweep hands of the electric clocks move silently.
Lois Lane?
Ready with that Michigan call. Hello?
Rainbow Lodge.
Is Clark Kent there?
Hello?
Is Clark Kent there?
I can't hear you.
Clark Kent, is he there?
Oh, yeah, that fishing fella. He was. He ain't now.
Where is he? It's very important.
Well, now, him and that other fishing fella. What's his name?
Jimmy Olsen?
Yep, that's him. Anyways, they took off.
Took off?
Rented one of them light planes they did. Fishing weren't no good down here. Went north.
Where north?
Well, near as I can figure, I'd say maybe 200 miles up to the Quetico-Superior area.
Can they be reached?
Ma'am, there ain't no folks up there. Not to speak of. Just fish.
5 o'clock, Mr. Mayor. 7 hours to Holocaust.
There must be some way to reach Kent.
In the dark, 200 miles into nowhere? How?
I've got an idea. It's a long shot, and we'll have to wait until it's light.
Dawn breaks over northern Minnesota. Waist high in the rippling waters of a gently flowing stream, Clark Kent and Jimmy Olsen cast for trout. The sky brightens.
Hey, Clark.
You got a strike?
No, look at that.
What?
That plane. He's skywriting.
Skywriting? Out here? Ridiculous.
That's what I was thinking. What's to advertise around here? There's no people.
It can't be fish bait.
He's coming this way.
There he goes again.
A-B-O-M-B.
Clark and Jimmy watch the letters appear in the sky, slowly, one by one, until...
A-bomb. Metropolis. Get Superman. Lois. Jimmy, let's go.
Clark!
I twisted my ankle. Maybe broke.
Grab my shoulder.
No.
Come on.
No, you get back to the Rainbow Lodge. Just get me to the shore and you get back to the lodge. Call this number, 516-9206 in Metropolis. Superman will answer. Tell him what goes.
Clark, I can't leave you here.
Don't argue, Jimmy. Do it. We're fighting time. Make the call and get back to Metropolis. Send the plane back for me. Now, get moving.
Leaving Clark Kent on the shore of the stream, Jimmy Olsen charges towards the seaplane and takes off. As the plane scuds across the lake, Clark Kent watches it rise into the sky and disappear over the trees. Moments later, he emerges from the tent as Superman and zooms upward. Streaks towards Metropolis at fantastic speed, and within 2 minutes stands in the mayor's office in City Hall.
All right, quiet, please, quiet. The bomb is set for noon, Superman.
That gives us less than 5 hours.
And we have no idea what part of the city they placed it.
Hold it. One question. Does that bomb emit radiation?
Yes, it does.
Okay, there's our hope. Wish me luck.
Look at that!
Right out the window.
Amazing.
He'll find it.
Rocketing upward, Superman speeds to the Metropolis Geological Laboratory, picks up an ultra-sensitive Geiger counter, and then zooms into the skies above the city.
There's something. Let's check it out.
Superman dives down at tremendous speed.
Small private hospital. Could the bomb be in there? Well, we'll find out with my X-ray vision. Radioactive tracer material. The patient may live, but not unless I find that bomb.
Blasting skyward again, Superman circles over Metropolis. Another hospital brings him to Earth. Then a government laboratory. But the bomb still eludes him.
11:40. 20 minutes to go and no sign. Nothing. Listen to that. Maybe this time. Seems to be coming from that old railroad bridge. It's the bomb inside that trailer truck. Gotta move fast. This is it, all right, but bolted down and just 15 minutes to go. No sense trying to pry it loose.
Stepping outside, he picks up the entire trailer truck and takes to the skies. Traveling at a rate approaching the speed of light, Superman races toward the sun. 1 million miles from the blazing star, Superman screeches to a halt and rears back and hurls the bomb straight into its center.
Strike one for you, Force One. The other two come later.
Exploding within our great sun, the homemade A-bomb is a mere puffball. The sky brightens only slightly, and on Earth a few sunspots are recorded, for nothing that man can make is mightier than the forces of the universe. Later, in the city room at the Planet.
Well, look who's here. Clark Kent, Cub reporter.
Why the sarcasm?
I don't blame him. Where were you when the bomb hit the sun?
I almost broke my ankle in that stream.
You don't seem to be limping.
Well, it healed.
I sometimes wonder about you.
Why?
You're never here when Superman saves the day. You must have a block.
What about that terrorist group? I read about it on the way from Minnesota.
The FBI finally got a line on them. Force One, they called themselves. 2 men and a girl. They were picked up trying to board a plane at the airport.
It's a nice feeling, isn't it, to have the FBI around? And, of course, Superman. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, a jewel of a city fronting on the blue Atlantic just north of the Tropic of Capricorn. When it's winter in Metropolis, it's summer in Rio, and a beautiful summer it was when Lois and I were there. We were covering a story on the World Banking Committee meeting. Dull stuff, but it left plenty of time for us to take in the scenic beauty, local color, and great food. The day it all started, we were seated in a small sidewalk cafe in the Copacabana, overlooking the sea. The sun was bright, the weather balmy.
This is absolutely scrumptious, Clark. What's it called?
Churrasco misto.
It's like a shish kebab.
With a Brazilian accent.
What's in it?
Beef, pork, all kinds of things.
The sauce is out of this world.
What's that?
I don't know. Abellas! ¡As abellas! What's she saying?
I don't know.
Las abejas! Vamos!
Abellas!
It's the bees! It's the bees!
Lois, look at the sky.
Clark, that's impossible.
Take a beehive and multiply it by 1,000,000. That should give you some idea of what we were looking at. It was as if every hive in the world had been dropped in the city of Rio. The skies to the north and west were black with insects. The drone was deafening. And these bees weren't the ordinary garden variety of yellowjacket. These were killer bees. They dropped down on the Copacabana to the north, and we watched them approach in a black wave, swarming into open windows, alighting in droves on people in the street, streaming down from the skies and even attacking cars, buzzing, stinging, killing. Lois and I made it to the lobby of our hotel just a couple of 100 yards away. Doors were locked behind us, windows closed, blinds drawn. But hundreds were still left in the street, and they crushed against the doors, pounded at the glass.
How long will it last?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like it.
They've got to let those people in.
Come on, Lois. Let's get up to our rooms and see if we can get a line out of here.
They've smashed a window. The bees are coming in.
Into the elevator.
What floor are we on?
10. Let's hope we get there before the bees. A few of them got in.
I got one.
Chuck up 2 more. We killed 5 bees in the elevator to only 2 stings, so you might say we came out on top. In the room with the air conditioner going and door tightly shut, we could breathe a sigh of relief. While Lois tried to reach Metropolis, I stared out the window. The bees were disappearing, lifting upward in great swarms and buzzing north and west.
Operator.
But they had left their toll. Along the Copacabana, on the beach, in the side streets, hundreds lay dead and dying.
I've got the planet.
Tell Jimmy to send down a can of DDT.
Hello? Chief? Lois Lane. Of course we're still in Rio. Oh, fine. This place is just a hive of activity. Never mind the World Banking Committee. Listen to this.
Lois filled in what we knew at that point, and later we learned the full facts on television. There were 107 dead, hundreds more in critical condition. Brasilia had been attacked, and being closer to the jungles, their casualties were twice those of Rio. At the airport, a landing jet had its engines clogged with the insects and crashed in flames. That night, a meeting was called at the government house, and since we were press, Lois and I covered it.
I believe most of you know me. I'm the Minister of Defense. But very frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I find myself at a loss to suggest anything to defend our country against this strange invader. Let me give you a short report. The bees seem to be rising both in the Mato Grosso and the Amazon basin. They have attacked not only our city of Rio, but also Brasilia, Manaus, and points north as far as Trinidad. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, they seem to be threatening the Caribbean islands, and even Miami in the southern United States. Now, may I present someone who might have an answer? I am only a politician. Dr. Ramirez is one of our leading entomologists, a bug expert, in case you wonder.
Let me get rid of a few bugaboos at the very beginning. We can use DDT. We can turn to other insecticides. We can try smoke. We can poison the bees. But, ladies and gentlemen, the bees are in such abundance that we shall also poison our populace.
The meeting went on for over 2 hours. A lot of talk, a lot of shouting. But in the end, no real answers. When it broke up, Lois and I introduced ourselves to Dr. Ramirez and took him out for a cup of Brazilian coffee.
One thing I don't understand, Dr. Ramirez. What brought the bees to Rio, to Brasilia, to the other cities? What brought them out of the jungle in the first place?
Who can say, Miss Lane? Some upset perhaps in the balance of nature, insufficiency of food, some freak accident.
Ordinary bees are pollinizers. They're attracted to certain flowers.
The killer bees are no different.
In which case, couldn't we lure them back into the jungle?
How?
By imitating, artificially producing the scents that attract them.
A splendid idea, Mr. Ken. But you would need such great quantities.
Not if a super concentrate could be developed and liquefied.
I don't get it.
Dr. Ramirez, can you show us the plants and give us samples of the odors that attract the bees?
Of course.
Oh, you're thinking of the aromatics industry, right?
Right.
Aromatics?
It's a whole new industry, Dr. Ramirez. Really big business. Room deodorizers with billion scents, furniture waxes, even clothing. They can duplicate almost any scent or fragrance in the world.
But how long would it take? And how would you use it?
Details, Dr. Ramirez, mere details. We'll work them out later. Right now, I think we better put our noses to the grindstone. Or the flowers. Dr. Ramirez provided samples of the scents, and they were airshipped to aromatic chemical manufacturers throughout the world. Phone calls, telegrams, and cables flew between Europe, North America, and Asia. The bees had returned to Rio, to Brasilia, and mounted new attacks on the Caribbean islands. But a week later, the first shipments of the duplicated scents were flown into Rio. Contained in giant cylindrical steel tanks, liquefied under high pressure, they were offloaded on the waterfront. It was time to put my plan to the test.
Now that you've got the concentrate, what are you going to do with it?
Me? Nothing. I was thinking of Superman.
But he's not here. And how do you know where he is? And what if you can't...
No time for idle chatter, Lois.
Where are you going?
Government house. I just got an idea.
Clark, wait for me.
No time. I charged out of the hotel into the night, found a telephone booth, ducked in, performed my Superman quick change act, and took off. In seconds, I reached the waterfront and found the cylinders neatly laid out on the docks. I picked up about a dozen. They were just what we'd ordered. The aromatic liquefied and the cylinders made with push-button valves, very much like an aerosol can. The scent could be let out in a stream or in short bursts. I tested a couple, headed upward, and waited for daylight. The bees came early, not long after dawn. The city below was at a standstill, not a soul in sight. They clogged the skies to the west and north like a giant black curtain, rising out of the jungles of the Mato Grosso and Amazon in the millions. Since I was the only tasty morsel in sight, they made a beeline for me. And I let go with the first cylinder. Nothing happened. The bees were all over me, screaming, stinging, angry. Of course, they couldn't penetrate my skin, but that didn't make me feel any happier. If my great idea didn't work, the city of Rio and maybe the rest of the world would be at their mercy. I figured the first cylinder was a dud and threw it far out into the sea. I tried the second. The first one had been a dud. This time, the bees went crazy, tearing into the cloud of concentrated scent like angry dogs. fighting each other, tearing the skies apart. Now I knew I had them. It was a simple matter to back up and leave a trail of scent before me. The bees followed the bursts of gas like fish on a chum line. I went backwards faster and faster, and they kept up with me. Soon the city of Rio disappeared. The countryside spread out below, and the first foliage of jungles appeared. The skies above Rio and Brasilia were clear, and the bees were back in the jungle where they belonged. All that remained now was to pick up more of the cylinders and do the same for Caracas, Trinidad, and the Caribbean. That would take a little time, of course, but would also give me an opportunity to think up some excuse for Lois about where Clark Kent had been. No doubt she'd have a bee in her bonnet about it. It was close to midnight. Lois and I had just taken in a movie and were walking home along Park Drive, passing the Metropolis Museum of Art, when the cry for help came.
Help! Help, please! Help!
Up there, Clark, on the museum steps.
Yeah, I see him.
Help! Help, please!
It's one of the museum guards. He's wounded.
It's inside the Hall of Gems. Star of Bangalore. All of it.
He passed out.
Lois, you get on the phone. Ambulance and police. I'll check this out. The Hall of Gems was on the 3rd floor. I made it in double time and came in on a shambles. Broken glass, exhibit cases smashed, another guard slightly wounded and leaning over a man in a stocking mask. You get it bad?
Just a scratch. I'll be all right.
Is this one of them?
Yeah, they all wore masks like this.
Let me get it off. Well, what do you know? Little Teddy Bunce.
You know him?
Small-time jewel thief. This is a big job for him.
Can't.
Hello, Teddy.
Can't listen.
Who was in on it with you, Teddy?
Listen. The ice. The ice.
He dead?
Yes.
What did he mean, the ice?
It's an underworld term for jewels, and by the looks of it, they got away with plenty. By early morning, most of the preliminary police work had been finished. Photographs, dusting for prints, coroner's report. Detective Lieutenant Joe Harsky had been assigned to the case. Joe, you got a minute?
Sure.
How are the guards?
One died this morning, the other will be okay.
What's the story on the jewels?
Quite a haul, over $2 million worth, counting the Star of Bangalore. Enough ice to cool a small tropical island.
The Star of Bangalore. Some kind of sapphire, if I remember right.
One of the world's largest. All part of the Newton collection.
That's Owen Newton over there, isn't it?
None other. The playboy of the Western world, and a very nasty number. See you, kids.
Come on, Lois. Let's have a little talk with Mr. Newton. Owen Newton?
Who'd want to know?
Clark Kent. This is Lois Lane.
Press?
The Daily Planet.
I'm not impressed.
What does impress you, Mr. Newton?
Certainly not the superb security of the Metropolis Museum. The collection was on loan, and see what happened? They must hire basket cases for guards.
One of those guards is dead, Newton, protecting your gems.
If he'd been a better man, he'd be alive, and the collection would still be here.
Lois, let's get some fresh air.
Good idea. More coffee?
Thanks. Want your eggs fried?
Sunny side, if the waitress ever comes.
Owen Newton. Likeable sort.
When he's asleep.
What do you know about him?
Scion of a wealthy family. Just came into the fortune a couple of years ago. Playboy type. Very irresponsible. Gambles a lot. Invests heavily in shows, films. Most of them losers.
Then he may have gone through all the money.
That's the rumor.
In which case, the insurance covering the Newton collection would be a welcome windfall.
You don't think he stole his own jewels, do you?
It's been done before, Lois. And in this case, there'd be a double charge. Larceny and murder. Some checking up led to a number of facts. One, the Newton collection had been heavily insured. And when I talked to Joe Harsky again at police headquarters...
Newton's up to his neck in debt, Clark.
How so?
Gambling, mostly. He owes the syndicate, and those boys don't like to be owed very long.
He's also put a lot of money into flop shows, I hear.
Most of them, but not the one in town now, Isorama, I think it's called. That one's supposed to be pretty good.
Nothing's turned up on the Star of Bangalore or the other stones, I guess.
Not a sign. We've checked every fence here and across the country, courtesy of the FBI. But then we didn't expect anything.
Why not?
That ice is too hot, especially the Star of Bangalore. It's known all over the world. To cut that stuff down, whoever has it would have to get it out of the country.
To Amsterdam.
Probably, and that wouldn't be easy.
No doubt. Well, thanks, Joe. You've been helpful.
Glad to be of service.
That show Newton's producing, what's the name of it?
Isorama.
Think I'll take it in. The Isorama was being presented at the Metropolis Coliseum. Lois and I got a couple of press passes and were pleasantly surprised after we sat down. It was a big extravaganza on ice, featuring the best ice skating dancers and acrobats in show business, and a variety of musical numbers. The production was top flight, the music tuneful, the girls beautiful, and the colorful costumes glittered and sparkled under the spotlights.
I've never seen such skating.
Well, you haven't seen me yet.
I'll bet. Maybe this show will bail Newton out.
Maybe.
The costumes are stunning, aren't they?
Uh-huh.
Look at that.
It's called a full axel.
How do you know so much?
I told you, I do a little skating myself.
You'll have to show me sometime. I'd like to see you do that one. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
As we were filing out of the Coliseum, we passed Owen Newton standing near one of the office doors.
Very impressive, Mr. Newton.
Huh? Oh, it's you again.
Good show.
No doubt we'll get a pan from the Daily Planet.
Not if I can help it.
Doesn't matter anyway. We're taking it out.
Oh? Why?
Going on a tour of Europe.
When?
Leaving tomorrow.
The next day at the Planet, I couldn't get my mind off Owen Newton, his show, his leaving for Europe, the Newton collection of jewels, the Star of Bangalore. It was like a jigsaw puzzle, the pieces scattered, and one missing.
Are you here or out to lunch?
Huh? Oh, sorry, Lois.
I've seen some daydreaming, but never like this.
I'm doing a jigsaw puzzle.
That's nice. Where are the pieces?
In my head.
Well, if you put them all down on the table, maybe I can help.
Lois, remember Teddy Bunce, what he said?
Teddy who?
Teddy Bunce, the jewel thief who died at the museum. His last words.
The ice.
Right, the ice. What did he mean?
Well, the jewels, the Newton collection, the Star of Bangalore, the ice.
Not exactly.
I don't follow.
Those costumes were stunning, you said.
What costumes?
At the show last night.
Now I'm really lost.
Excuse me.
Where are you going?
Where the Iceman goeth, I goeth. See you later. I did the quick change act to Superman in a phone booth. A little checking at the airport, and then called Joe Harsky.
Lieutenant Harsky.
Superman here.
Superman?
Suppose we meet at Metropolis International, Flight 509, Intercontinental Airlines.
Why?
The Star of Bangalore, and the entire Newton collection is on board. I'm on my way right now. It was only a few seconds to the airport, but still I was late. Newton's flight was starting down the runway when I arrived. Figuring it would be easier to keep the plane on the ground than order it back in midair, I zoomed down to the big jet's nose, reversed my direction, and flying backwards in front of the flight deck, waved my arms in a stop signal. The pilot looked at me goggle-eyed and then ordered reverse thrust.
What's going on here?
Take her back to the gate, Captain.
Why?
You're overloaded with ice. Back at the gate, Lieutenant Harsky was waiting for me with a very angry group of passengers. Not the least of them, Owen Newton.
I demand to know what's going on here. I demand it.
Take it easy, Newton.
I'll have your badge for this, Lieutenant.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Superman, where's the ice?
Have you got the Isorama wardrobe trunks out of the cargo hatch?
Over here. Well?
Just a second.
What are you doing?
X-ray eyes, Lieutenant. Just want to make sure it's the right trunk. Yes, open that one.
Wait a minute, you can't do that.
Easy, Newton. We've got a warrant. Open it, Kelly. Okay, Superman, now what?
Look at this, Lieutenant. A very colorful costume, right?
So, it's a dress with a lot of sequins and paste jewelry on it.
Not so fast. This particular stone, this sapphire, isn't paste. It's real, Lieutenant. The original Star of Bangalore.
You sure?
My X-ray eyes. And these sequins aren't sequins, they're diamonds. You'll find the rest of the Newton collection sewn into the other costumes.
What do you know about that? So, when little Teddy Bunce said the ice...
He was trying to say the Isorama, Newton's plan for getting the jewels to Amsterdam.